Hello, everybody. Welcome to Talk the Walk here on Firewatch Network. I'm your host, the Enlightened and Excited, and your camp counselor, Eddie V. Joining me is the Firewatch herself, Mr. Celeste Roberts, back in the building.
I'm so happy to be back, and now you're already making me go to a new job in Wyoming.
Yes. We also got our camp counselor, Mr. Shane Kelly.
Hello. How are you all today?
Doing good. And another camp counselor, Mr. Stephanie Klima.
How's everybody doing? Over and out.
Where's that bucket of water?
I love it.
Yes, everybody. We are back together to talk walking simulators, and we're starting the year off our return with Firewatch. Everybody's been asking us for this game to be discussed. People are excited, and we had to come together to actually do this game. Now, it took me a while to get through Firewatch because I had it for years, and I was just like, do I start this or do I hold off to it? But you know, for Talk the Walk, I was just like, you know what? Let me get into this game, and I played it. I have thoughts. We all have thoughts about this game, and we're going to present them to you in a really good discussion because I will say this game is something that I feel like everybody should try. It's a game that everybody should play. What you get out of it will be up to you. We'll discuss that a little bit later on. But I have to say, welcome, everybody. Welcome, Stephanie, Shane, and Celeste. How have you guys been? It's been a long time. We haven't had a chance to catch up. Celeste, what has been up with you?
Oh, well, I'm sure everybody knows at this point, but I had a little bout with Mother Nature in August of 2021, but everything is pretty much okay now. I'm very thankful for my friends with Boss Rush Network and Other Zelda Podcast, all my friends in real life and virtually. And I'm so excited to finally talk about Firewatch because I adore this game.
Yes. Shane, how have you been?
Well, I've been pretty well. Our company that I work for is transitioning to a new company, so by the end of the month here, I'll probably be under a new name. We'll see how that goes, see what insurance is and all that good stuff. So last night we did a little movie outside with the projector. Nice. We had a fire, and we had the thin Reese's peanut butter cup s'mores. Those were great. Hot dogs, all that. So it was a good evening. So we watched Annie, the newer one with Cameron Diaz, and yeah, it was good.
Stephanie, how have you been?
Been all right. Work's been terrible, but other than that, things have been good. I finished Ghost of Tsushima.
Nice.
I took my son to the carnival, and I am ready to play Stray when it comes out on Tuesday.
I think we all are.
Cat lovers unite.
Stray is a game that is. Let me rephrase that. Stray is a non-Nintendo game that majority of Boss Rush is into and excited to play. So I definitely am excited. For me, just getting ready for inventory at my job and playing Life is Strange 2 before nice. I get into the other games and just enjoy the summer, which is why Firewatch is kind of a great game to play right now because it kind of takes place in the summer. But before we get into discussion, just want to give you guys a trigger warning that we are going to be discussing alcoholism, death, memory loss, and caretaking. So if those things are triggering for you, please stop the podcast, or if you decide to listen to it, please take a break and do what you need to do to relax you and calm you or anything. So let's get into Firewatch. This is a game from Kempo Seto, and it was published by Panic and Kempo Seto. The directors were Ali Moss and Shah Vanaman, and they're the ones that created this game. The game is a visual game that was released in February 2016 for Microsoft Windows, OS X, Linux, and PlayStation 4. It came out to Xbox One in September 2016 and for Nintendo Switch in December 2018. The story follows a fire lookout named Henry in the Shoshone National Forest a year after the Yellowstone fires of 1988. A month after his first day at work, strange things began happening to him and his supervisor, Delilah, which connects to a conspiracy mystery that happened years ago. And we're going to get more into that. So, this game, I I was just shocked to play this game, just the way that the game opens. And to explain some of the gameplay, this is a first-person walking simulator with elements of mystery, and where you can choose different dialogue or even choose not to respond in some instances. And this somewhat affects your relationship with your superior, but not the overall story. There are only two possible endings to the game. You can pick up and interact with objects. There is a map that you can use and a compass to navigate the world, which I would definitely talk about. And the setting is Wyoming, that this takes place, and it's specifically Two Forks sector in the Shoshone National Forest. And our major characters is Henry, who is the protagonist from Boulder, Colorado, who assumes a summer Firewatch position. And when the game starts, you are reading text, and it introduces you as Henry, and you lay your eyes upon a pretty girl, which is named Julia. You make some decisions through that area. In the end, Julia becomes your wife. I'm gonna start with you, Stephanie. What did you think of just the cold open of the game before it actually shows the title?
Yeah, it was it really threw me off guard, not necessarily in a bad way, but this is part of the reasons why I really enjoyed Firewatch, because it just has a very unique way of introducing the game and subtly, I don't know, just making you feel slightly uneasy almost the entire time. I don't know if you guys got that little bit of a feeling. So I just kind of was a little like, yeah, caught off guard is probably my number one kind of way to describe it. But it really just kind of sets up, everything. And I think it also kind of helps you, the player, kind of figure out how you want to interact with other characters later on in the game.
Okay. What about you, Shane?
Well, I think immediately it really draws you in because of the whole dementia thing. How it just plays on your heartstrings, and it's pulls you in immediately because you don't know what's going to happen because of this, and I think it sets up the tone of the entire game because of what Henry is dealing with. So, plus I didn't know when I played it what it was actually about. I thought it was like some kind of walking sim where I'd have to go put out fires, and it really was not what I expected, and I'm actually much more happy that it was what it is. So
okay. And you, Celeste?
So the first time I saw this game was in 2016. My boyfriend played it for a little bit, and I was watching him, and then I didn't play it all the way through and on my own until 2019. And then I replayed it a few weeks ago for this Talk the Walk. And just a little behind the curtain, when I played this game, it was a few months after my maternal grandfather passed away. So the caretaking aspect and the memory loss aspect really hit me, even though it wasn't a romantic relationship. It wasn't with my partner. Seeing someone or reading about someone going through that in the game was very heartbreaking. It hit me very hard. And I love how at the beginning of the game, if you've ever seen Up, have you all seen Up?
Yes.
It kind of reminded me of that, where the first 8 minutes, they show the blissful aspects, and then if you've never seen Up, I'm so sorry. I'm going to.
That's a really good comparison there. So.
Yeah. That's what it reminds me of and then the sadness. But what's also cool is you make these decisions like, what kind of dog do you want? What do you say to Julia? Do you encourage her to take a job elsewhere? But you also flash into present day through Henry's first person perspective, where he is entering Shoshone National Park. So it's really cool. It's a good callback to what happened to him and his current situation.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. My thing was when I started the game, reading and making choices and everything, I kind of realized that for a lot of the choices that you make, they only give you just that one choice to proceed, and then at times you get to choose those choices. To really see that they start the game out the gate with you being an alcoholic. And then it seems that as time goes on in the beginning, you and Julia are both pretty much just alcoholics because y'all going to the bar, y'all drinking a lot, and is kind of feel like during that time, that era, that it's just you were young and drinking was the thing to do with friends. And as things go on and you start making choices, and Julia gets her dementia, which was kind of weird because I feel like the dementia part was just thrown in to change the tone of the story. It didn't build gradually or anything. It kind of just felt like, okay, we got to give her something so something could happen so we could progress on why or set up on why he's taking this job. And you just go there. But because there is a choice where you are able to be like, okay, I could put her in a home or I could take care of myself. And at that point, I was just like, you know what? I'm going to be greedy. And of course, I'm going to be like, I'm taking care of myself. I'm not putting her in no home or anything. I'm not trying to give her help. I kind of felt like I could make her better. But then later on, it kind of feels like her parents came and snatched her. Took her away from me, and I was just like, well, I guess I gotta go do this job and everything, and it goes from there for it. So Henry and Julia, yeah, and Julia, you start seeing signs of her dementia. She's snapping on another person because of some research that she was working on, and she had forgot that she gave part of her research to this other person, and because she thought that they stole it and everything. And it was just like, oh wow, just like how does someone this smart who is into science or whatever she was researching, how did she not know that she was having dementia? And why didn't they go in and get help early for it?
Well, it's interesting that you mentioned that because even though I'm really just more specialized in medicine, like pharmaceuticals than diagnosing, but early onset dementia does happen, but it's still incredibly rare. And what ages did
41.
41? So it's like really kind of on the line, like that's really early. And so not to say that's impossible, right? Like this is it can happen. So but yeah, at first it was a bit jarring for me because it just I mean, when I think early onset, I think of like my grandmother that passed away that maybe got it in her early 70s. Well, that's not really early onset, but like I don't know, it's not common. And then part of me debated in my head, like at first I thought, wow, what a jerk leaving his wife behind to go to the woods. But then on the other hand, I don't have a spouse at 41 who's undergoing this condition, which is extremely taxing, like mentally, psychologically. So like I felt kind of split on the how this played out.
It was interesting because I feel like it's also a lot of people have denial on a lot of older people that I know don't want to go to the doctor, so maybe that this is the 80s, maybe that's maybe that's just how they were, they didn't want to go in, or maybe
yeah.
they were avoiding it, or something like that, or maybe she saw the signs and Henry didn't see them at first, and maybe she forgot about that she had these signs, and that because it was so severe, and never told them, so maybe other people who worked with her more often had to notice these things. So
it's funny y'all mention that because last year someone was telling me they knew a fellow who started showing signs of dementia at age 25.
Wow.
Oh, no.
So, but yeah, that is jarring. And Gosh, there are so many. I love games like this because it makes you question your moral compass, and I love revisiting these games at different points in your life because
Mhm.
your opinion might change.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Mhm.
Well, I just want to also credit the voice actor who plays Henry, by Rich Sommer. He's the voice that you'll hear throughout the game, with the other character Delilah, who was voiced by Cissy Jones. She's Henry's supervisor who fire watches from the Thoroughfare Lookout.
Oh,
Uh,
let's set up why he's there though. We gotta
oh yes,
gotta
yes.
segue.
So, let us get into that. In the spring of 1989, after his wife develops early onset dementia, Harry takes a job as a fire lookout in Shoshone National Forest, Wyoming. On his first day, Delilah, Cissy Jones, a lookout in another watchtower, contacts him via walkie-talkie and asks him to investigate illegal fireworks by the lake. So, he decides to take up this job, kind of, to take his mind off of Julia.
She's in
Uh,
Australia right now, by the way.
yes,
Mhm.
Her family got her. No matter what your decision is, no matter if you decide to take care of her or put her in an assisted living facility, her family comes over and takes her home.
yes, yeah. He hops in his truck. He has his bag, which was weird because he did it. When you look at the truck, the back part of it is open, and it's just like, how far did you drive from where you was at? Because I'm thinking that the bag is gonna fall off the truck.
Mhm.
But it's just like, oh, it's there. uh but yeah, he gets there. You start going through a 2 mile, I believe, a 2 mile hike.
2 day hike.
Oh, 2 day hike. What the
Hmm.
heck was he hiking for 2 days to get somewhere?
It takes 2 days to get there because at one part he does set up camp at night.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That's
I wish
crazy.
it had been 2 miles. I'm sure he would have preferred a 2 mile hike.
I mean,
Yes.
you must really want to escape your life if you're willing to hike 2 days to get to your new job.
Yeah, I'm just like, I was thinking that the tower would have like a parking space.
Mhm. I guess it's for the. I mean, I'm not a park ranger, but I guess it's also to preserve the wilderness aspect.
Hmm.
I don't
Mhm.
know.
I was wondering why don't they just drop him off with a helicopter and then he could have walked from met Delilah, and then walked to his tower. But I guess that defeats the purpose of the game.
Maybe it's like a
So-
trial. Like, are you prepared for this job? Are you prepared to sit and look at the sky to see if there are fires?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I want to ask you guys, Celeste, I want to start with you. What was your reaction to me and Delilah? Were you like kind of happy meeting her, being respectful, or were you kind of just like, I'm
My
I'm going to
reaction.
be a bit evil to her? What was your reaction to her?
So to clarify for people listening, you don't see her. It's strictly through your walkie-talkie when you meet her, quote unquote. And she has a very if you've liked the show Frasier, she sounds like Roz a little bit.
Mm.
She
Mhm.
has that very fun, happy-go-lucky. I find her a little sexy. I really like her voice. I really love Cissy Jones' voice. Delilah is funny. She pokes fun at Henry. She'll even say, "What do you look like? I'm sketching you." When I was kind of wondering, I wonder if she's going to be a temptress for him. Is she going to be yet another distraction for Henry? Not in a bad way, because I, again, am not in that situation, but I was kind of wondering, what is their relationship going to be like? And I was kind of wondering also, what does she look like? But to be evil to her? No, no. I was kind of amused by her. I thought, oh, this is a good distraction. She's fun.
Okay. What about you, Stephanie?
I would say I was pretty much on the same page with Celeste. Like, I was delighted by her personality. Dare I say, it's probably a bit refreshing if I were to put myself in Henry's shoes. Like, okay, I'm isolated. I'm here to be with my thoughts. But at the same time, it's never going to be completely alone all the time. So just have like someone to just have silly banter with through the walkie-talkie. I'm like, how how bad can it be? Well, obviously, it like there goes the maybe can be kind of like a tempting kind of thing. But I picture they're both separated by faraway towers. So it's like, you know what? It's just a person to keep me company. We'll see where this goes. So like and we'll get to more parts later, but I kind of took almost like a middle path where like I don't think I ever was a real jerk to her. And I would kind of like lightly flirt back, but not like none of the really big stuff, but I'll just stop there.
All right, Shane, what about you?
I was probably 50-50. I kind of want to do my own personality projected on there. Yeah, I would try to be as polite as possible, but sometimes it's edging. You don't want to select that certain thing because maybe for yourself you don't want to do that. But I think for Henry, if you're thinking about Henry, he's he's probably talking to doctors all day, trying to figure out what's happening to his wife, and he just discussing things with family and all that, and it probably is taxing. So to actually have a discussion with an adult that doesn't know your problems is probably therapeutic. So I think just that banter is probably relieving for Henry and for the player themselves too, because maybe they're going through something similar. Who knows?
Yeah, like for me, my first playthrough, I was just nice to her, getting to know her and like kind of being respectful and everything, and laughing it up with her until some things start happening, which we'll dive into, because kind of like the first situation in this game is some fireworks that are going off illegally in the forest preserve. Delilah catches wind of it, and she kind of cuts the introduction short, and she sends you on your way. She wants you to go get some rope from these boxes that you have to use a code, like a 4-digit code, to unlock. And you get to the first one. She tells you it's 1, 2, 3, 4. You unlock it, and then you continue to go on your route to find the girls or find the fireworks. You put your rope in, and as you're crawling down, the rope breaks, and you go, ugh, a big thud. But you're all right, and you start going on. At this point, this is when you kind of meet these two girls, but you still don't see them. They're far away. And their name is Chelsea and Lily. And in the game, they're the ones that cause like some kind of trouble for Henry. You end up going to this river that they're in, and you see two shadows in the back. And you could confiscate their booze that they were drinking, or you could just leave it there. But as you're going, you get to start seeing panties in a bra. So they kind of went skinny dipping in the game, and Henry is kind of scared to tell Delilah, be like, I have some panties in my head. And Delilah's like, what? She's just like, I don't want to say it again. So it's kind of weird, like kind of making you uncomfortable. And then you meet the girls that's far away, and you could threaten them, or you could warn them, hey, you're not supposed to do this and stuff. And their response to you is that you are a pervert. And more. What did you think about these two? Because something happens to them later on in the game. But what did you guys think about these two characters? Shane, I'm gonna go with you.
Well, first off, you're in the wilderness, and then all of a sudden there's people there, so it's kind of surprising, taken back. You wander upon them and see them, and you're kind of taken back because they're almost yelling at you for being a pervert. So you're just trying to do your job. You're in the maybe the wrong place at the wrong time, but you kind of assume that maybe that they're there just to have fun, and maybe you should just leave it at that and walk away. So
Okay. What about you, Celeste?
I like their radio. I thought that was really funny. You can be a jerk and you can toss it off, or you can just let it keep playing. It's playing some generic teeny bopper song. I I think it's hilarious. And come on, you're in the Shoshone National Park. You should not be firing off fireworks. I mean, it's dry. You could cause a lot of problems. It reminds me of those gender reveal parties that people have now,
Oh yeah.
where they feel the need to up the theatrics of it. And some people have died, some people have caused massive fires. Ugh.
But it's kind of weird to see that, because in comparison, this is Henry and Julia in their early years, on how they were young, drinking, having fun, having the time of their lives. And these girls are doing the same thing, but now because Henry is older and he has a job, he's responding to it authoritatively, in a sense.
Because he's getting paid to do that. That's his job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I can't speak for Henry's past, but I'm pretty sure he wasn't in danger of setting an entire, you know, forest on fire. So
No,
Mhm.
no. They had just had that big fire the year before. I don't think they wanted another one.
yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, like, I came in like all like I was pissed. I was like, because on the way you see like little bits of trash, I reported
Mhm.
everything because you have an option
Me
to
too.
report it. I was like, there's this beer can here. There's this like I don't know, like everything I report. I was getting so mad, and I saw those like teenagers, but I thought it was funny because I'm like a cis, not this man, cis female, 30 something years old playing this game, but you're playing like a full grown man. I feel like it's different, right? Like if a guy, like if I went there, I mean, no offense, I doubt the girls would call me a pervert, but as Henry, they're obviously more likely to call. Does that make sense? Am I
Yeah.
saying that correctly?
Yes.
So like
Yes.
I took this is where I jumped out of character. I felt personally offended. I'm like, I'm not a pervert. And I got so mad, I threw their radio in the water.
Were you like, you little shits?
I did. I broke their radio. I'm like, I was mad. I was like, don't you call me a pervert.
But I know for me, it's because of they're thinking they're already drunk, but because they don't have no clothes on, they're skinny dipping. A male is seeing these teenage girls
They're in a
naked.
national park. There's a risk that someone's going to see you naked. It's open. It's public domain. Anybody can go walk at any time. They're the ones who were silly enough to take off their clothes and leave themselves vulnerable to other eyes that could see them. I mean, don't get mad at Henry. He's just doing his job. They're the ones setting off the fireworks. No one would have found them if they hadn't been setting off fireworks.
Yes. So Chelsea and Lily disappear, and you make your way back to the camp, or actually to your tower, and you go a different route. And like I said earlier, you can't collect their booze and stuff. So you go and you get in there, and that's day one. But there is a particular point of the game that area, when you get to it, you kind of see that there is a gate that's locked, that's closed, and you're just like, okay. As a player, you'd be like, okay, I may come back to that later on in the game.
What do you guys think of that initially? Because I was getting like Area 51 vibes. I'm like, what if they're like aliens here?
Gosh, the locked gate. Gosh, I was wondering what kind of secrets are in this forest. What does someone not want me to find out?
Mm-hmm. So you say locks mean secrets in a game. So.
And a national public park.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. So, but while you're going through the cave, there is a shadowy figure. So there is someone there, but you probably won't know it because you're just making your way back to your camp. When you actually get there, it is ransacked, and you think it's the girls, which is kind of weird that the girls just disappeared, from skinny dipping. How the heck did they get to your tower, and you had to go all the way around. Like, what kind of
Yeah.
magical powers do they have?
Yeah, there's no way. It was definitely someone else, because no way they would have got their clothes back on and able to get back to the tower when Henry was directly going back to the tower. There's
Right. Not
Exactly.
only get there, but trash it and leave.
yep,
Mhm,
and take his sheets and everything. So
Yes. Well, the next day, Delilah asks Henry to investigate a down communication line. He finds the cut with a note apparently signed by the teens. He and Delilah plot to scare the girls off, but when he finds the girls' campsite ransacked and abandoned, they begin to worry. So now this is kind of the story is progressing, and it gets into its mystery with it. Thus on this section, I'm gonna start with you, Celeste.
So the first time I played it, I was actually getting very uneasy, like Stephanie mentioned earlier. I was wondering, is someone going to attack me? Will I eventually need to use a weapon to defend myself at some point?
Mhm.
In the music in the game. So I didn't mention this earlier, but the first time I played this, I did not do this. But the second time I played it for this episode, I did the audio tour with
Yes.
the developers, and you can pick up little cassettes and listen to them as you walk around. I don't listen to those the first time you play it, because you're going to have major spoilers. Listen to it the second time. Absolutely fascinating. And they talk about how they purposely amp up the music. The conductor, the composer talks at certain parts, but yeah, I was getting really nervous at this part.
What about you, Stephanie?
Yep, same. I think part of it was maybe it was a bear attack, right, or something, because there were I forget claw marks or something. But obviously, as I was going through it, I'm like, yep, this is what happens when I yell at these kids, and they're gonna be dead somewhere. And then I was the last person to see them. Like, I just felt so. I was like, "Oh, go figure. Like, of course this would happen to me. And then I'm going, okay, what if it's that shadowy figure? What if there's like this serial killer here, or aliens? Because I still don't know what's behind that fence. So I'm like, oh, this bleep is getting real.
Yes, I know. For me, when I got to the part with the girls and seeing everything ransacked, I was just like, oh yeah, there might have been a bear attack, but then they were able to leave a full written note on there, on their tent that was messed up. I'm like, wait a minute, where did the time y'all have time to find some paper and leave a note here and everything? I was just like, okay, something's happening. And I was just like, okay, the girls couldn't have ransacked his place. Henry couldn't ransack their place. So there's another person that's here. There's a bigger mystery going on with that. Shane, what did you think about the section?
So I think it's interesting that the line was cut. I don't know. I don't think two teenage girls would go up and cut a random wire not knowing what it is, and it could electrocute you. So then following cans of beer to their pretty much their tent. It's almost like they were Hansel and Gretel all the way to that spot to read the note. And you could blame a bear, but I don't know. It seemed planned, so that's how I took it. And immediately I thought of the guy you see up on the ridge, because hey, he's already there. Your place got window smashed and stuff stolen. So putting those two things together, it's like, no, it's not. I don't think it's the girls doing this, and I obviously didn't do it, so something else has to be going on here. So.
Well, as you're, trying to get back to your area after the wire cut, you find an old backpack and a disposable camera belonging to a boy named Brian Goodwin, who Delilah explains was the son of Ned, a former lookout. Ned was an outdoorsman who drank heavily due to his traumatic experiences in the Vietnam War, while his son Brian enjoyed fantasy novels and role-playing games. Though it is against the rules for employees to bring their children to the towers, Delilah was fond of Brian and lied about his presence. He and Ned apparently left abruptly and never returned. The teenage girls are later reported missing, and fearing this inquiry, Delilah falsifies reports to say that neither she nor Henry encountered the girls. And you get that option of should we lie or not with this.
Oh, I was absolutely reporting them missing. I couldn't sleep at night if I didn't report them missing.
Yes. So Shane, I'm gonna start with you. Anything about this session stood out to you?
So it's very, I want to say, alarming to me that my supervisor does not want to report this. Is kind of scared of the cops, and then already knowing that she lied to let another watch tower personnel let them keep their son at this tower who's 12 years old and not report that either seems kind of strange. So that almost to me starts to think that Delilah knows that Ned is there, this watchtower guy. So that starts, spiraling, for me, different conspiracies. So from that point on, I didn't know if I could trust Delilah. So we'll continue as we go. I'll give you more ideas of why I think Delilah might be lying. So.
Okay. I kind of felt like, okay, now we're getting to the nitty gritty. This is where I feel like the story of the game is now rolling. That
Yep.
everything is set up. We got our characters. There's this mystery that our places both got ransacked, but who's doing it? What's going on? So we need to find out. This is kind of the mystery of it. Now, before we go on, there was a question posed to us. Did you guys take any photos in the game? Celeste.
Did I take any photos? Oh yeah, you do find a camera in this backpack that belonged to Brian Goodwin. The first time I played this game, and I'm not going to say too much because we're going to discuss other stuff later, I treated it as though I were documenting everything that was happening, like I was a detective, so to speak. The second time I played it, knowing what I know, I was like, oh, I'm a tourist. Oh, look at this pretty sunset. Oh, look at this lake. Oh, look at this tree.
Yes. What about you, Stephanie? Did you take any photos?
I did take a few. Because I'm like, all right, they're giving me a camera for a reason. I'm like, maybe it'll, I don't know, like they kind of left it open-ended. So like every once in a while, if I saw something really cool or like certain things I found out later that, I don't know, if I needed proof or something, like maybe I needed to collect enough proof at the end and maybe it'll determine my kind of ending. So I did take it out from time to time. Sometimes I'd kind of forget. Just me kind of, because quick history, like when I played this game, I did kind of go a little bit of time in between each playthrough. So sometimes I'd kind of forget that I had it, but I was mindful of like if it'll impact my ending.
I know for me, I didn't use it. I didn't take no photos. I'm like, what the heck I'm gonna do with a disposable camera? I feel like if I was gonna use it to take pictures, it's just to get the achievement on the Xbox version.
It's the same.
Same with you, Shay.
Yeah, there's two things I don't like in games: taking pictures, especially like games that are just full blown taking pictures. Like, I don't know. I was trying to think of some like that. What is
Toem is a new game.
Beyond Good and Evil, you have to take.
Yes, I like that game, but still, I didn't like taking pictures. Even in Wind Waker, I didn't like to use the camera.
Oh yeah.
So, yeah, I immediately saw that there was an achievement because I played it on Steam, and I'm like, okay, what do I got to do? Okay, click. I just took pictures of random stuff and left it at that. So, maybe that's just a bad way to enjoy my time in Firewatch, but if I guess if I don't enjoy that mechanic, I want to get it out of the way. It's like eating Lucky Charms and eating all the just the cereal portion and then saving the marshmallows for the end. So.
Oh wow.
I love that analogy, Shane. Now I
Yeah.
want some Lucky Charms.
Well, Stephanie, what did you think of this whole section?
The part, I'm sorry, so just where
Where like
whether or not we reported on the situation, or
yeah, we finding out the more characters and then finding out the girls were missing.
so I kind of took a non-traditional route here, where I feel like I would get a little bit more of an exciting kind of turn or twist if I chose to like not report it and kind of see what's happening and be my own detective. So
I like that idea. I like that approach.
I mean, I would never really not do that in real life because I know it's gonna backfire, but I'm like, I wonder what's gonna happen. You know.
What about you, Celeste?
Oh, I reported it. Again, I could not sleep at night. I mean, I get it, Stephanie, but I'm kind of like Shane. I think we all do. Like, I put myself into the character. And so I don't know if we mentioned this, but you as you talk with Delilah through the radio, you can usually pick different dialogue, but you kind of have to be fast. And if you're not fast enough, there's a default, like I don't know if it just picks one, but that could be a little annoying because you don't always have time to pick what you want to say. Or especially if you're doing the audio tour at the same time, you're like, wait, I'm trying to listen to the developers, but I'm also trying to hear what Delilah is saying.
Yes.
Well, also real quick, sorry,
okay.
I'm like, I'm like, my mind is buffering. Maybe I need another cup of coffee. But part of me was also because Shane reminded me of it. Maybe my character, or me thinking about my character's in denial. Like, those girls will turn up. They'll totally turn up. They're just messing with me.
Oh.
Yeah. Well, let's see. What did we think about Ned and Brian from the first glance of this?
Celeste got some words.
So many things.
Okay, Celeste.
Oh God. So I don't want to say too much because they're a huge part of the plot. But from initially, okay, when I saw Brian's backpack, like I was getting a little worried. Like, why did they leave in such a rush?
Yeah, I thought the same thing, and I'm like, why would you leave your awesome homemade D&D game called Escape from Two Orcs in your backpack?
I know.
Something's wrong.
Yes.
Well, it was weird that because there's a point where you find a backpack and it got all of these ropes in it, and those are the ropes that you use throughout the game to walk down areas or climb up areas with that. But like my thoughts on Ned and Brian, I kind of felt like they were introduced and then forgotten most of the game. Same with the teenage girls. Like they were introduced and then forgotten until like a little bit closer to the end of the game where you find out some things.
I'm glad you said that, Ed, because part of my struggle, and maybe the girls were a bit more easy to recall because I've interacted with them. But I'll admit, once or twice I confused these two characters' names with the notes that you'd see in the cachet boxes.
Oh yeah. I'm looking at the notes right now. Dave and Ron.
And maybe that's just me being a dum-dum and too much time between gameplay.
No.
But like there was a period where I just confused the two because I felt like they kind of waned in and out of the story to a point where it really picks up at the end, don't get me wrong, but like in the late beginning and middle, I just kind of.
And I think they do that on purpose, of course. So you kind of, here's just a tidbit. Okay, let's forget about him for a little while, and try to pin this on other elements within the game. So your head starts spinning. So,
there is a part where you're just watching the sunset and you're having this dialogue with Delilah. And it just comes as the day. And I forgot to mention that these things are broken up into days, so they're kind of seen as chapters in a sense. So you'll have like day 1, day 2, day 9, and everything. So 2 months after Henry started his job, a small wildfire breaks out south of his tower, and it gives you the option to name this fire. Um, did you guys choose a particular name, or did you let the game choose it for you? Um, Stephanie, what did you go with?
You know what? I am drawing a big blank, so come back to me. I'm like
Okay.
trying to recall what that was.
I know it doesn't for being the main reason you're even there, the whole purpose of your job, it doesn't feel like that big of a deal compared to everything else going on in the game.
Yes.
Yeah.
Uh,
I picked
go ahead,
Flapjack
Steph.
Fire. Flapjack Fire.
I did too. That's what I chose also.
So I was gonna say, yeah, I picked Flapjack Fire first time through because, well, that, again, 50-50 with the flirting. Second time through, it was the June fire in
Mhm.
July. So,
Oh yeah, thank you. Because I'm like, oh crap, what was it? It was that one, the June fire.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay. 2 weeks later, Henry discovers a radio and a clipboard while fishing, with notes including transcripts of his conversation with Delilah. He is beaten unconscious by an unseen assailant and wakes up to find the clipboard and radio gone. In a meadow referred to on the clipboard letterhead, he finds a fenced-off government research area. He breaks in and discovers the surveillance equipment and typewritten reports detailing his and Delilah's conversations and private lives. He also discovers a tracking device, which he takes with them. Henry and Delilah discuss destroying the government camp, but decide against it. As Henry hikes home, however, someone sets fire to the camp. Now I think this is when the game literally takes a turn and gets interesting.
Oh yeah.
And it's just
There's
like,
Stephanie's aliens.
Seriously, that part freaked me out so badly.
Oh yeah. Oh my God. Like I was like you, Stephanie. The first time I played this game, I was like, someone's gonna show up, someone's gonna murder me. I'm about to have to break out a weapon.
How do you guys feel when your character got knocked out? Because even though I felt unsettled the entire time, I didn't see it coming. I'm like, ah.
yeah, I didn't see it coming neither. It was just like you're on this mission and you're researching, and he just like while you're stopping, while you're talking to Delilah, bop, right on your head, and it goes black. And I'm just like, what? And the funny thing is, like, you don't see no footprints, you don't see no shadow, you don't hear anything. It just seems that he was able to sneak up on you and just pop you that way. Go ahead.
I wasn't sure if I was going to be in like some sort of Resident Evil style escape scenario, or I don't know.
I love it. Zombies in the Shoshone National Forest.
Or a cult or something. Goodness.
Mhm.
Yeah. I also thought it was okay. So just playing through it again and kind of watching some reviews. I thought it was weird that Delilah has this conversation, says it's her superiors. Okay, I might believe that, but she talks about getting you a new untapped walkie, but walkie-talkies you can't tap. It's based on a channel. You have, and being a supervisor for 10 years, maybe not a supervisor, but working there for 10 years, how do you not know that? And then the other weird thing is she's like, I'm going to give you a new walkie, but I did look on the map, and I did confer this with other reviews that it's past Henry's Tower, a couple miles, and it's like a 15-mile journey from Delilah's Tower to this spot, to this box that she would have to put this walkie in. Why not just drop it off at Henry's Tower? It doesn't make sense to me. And she tells Henry to stay in the tower all morning because of the scientists, but does not, why stay in there, and why can she walk from her tower past the scientists, area to this box that is way past Henry's, tower, and then walk all the way back? That doesn't make sense, and it almost feels like there was an accomplice that put a walkie there because he has an older walkie. I don't know. It's just really interesting.
I wish I was smart enough to think about this at the time I was playing.
There's a lot going on.
Yeah.
Yeah. There is though. I want to bring up is the sequence that Delilah wakes up Henry in the middle of the night. Henry goes to the radio and starts talking, and the voice changes to Julia, and we're hearing them talk and everything.
Yeah.
And while everything is going on, you say goodnight, Julia. And later on, Delilah asks, "Who's Julia?" And Henry gets offended. "How did you know
Yeah.
this name?" And she mentions to him that, "Hey, you told me that over the walkie." And he's just like, it gives you options on how you respond to that. But do you think that part was needed in the game? Because it kind of feels like, is he missing Julia, or did he just have a episode?
I was going to say it almost brings light to, it gives you the reason for her to not talk about Julia and talk about that situation. So I think it was needed because Henry probably wouldn't have brought it up otherwise. So she probably wouldn't have known about it. And before I pass it off to someone else, I wanted to go back quick from the last one. I also remember that scientist camp, you can directly see, if you turn a certain way, you can see Delilah's tower. So she could see that area. And if you look at, it was one of the boards, I forgot where, but it says that the scientists will return to the site August 15th, and they stay till October 15th, and it's July. So that means no one should be there. So if Delilah can directly see this camp, she would know if there was actually scientists working in the area, and she was quick to say, let's burn this down. And then you can say, no, let's not, or yes, let's do this. And then it burns down regardless of the choice. So sorry. Now you can move forward with the dream sequence.
So this is making me want to play it again with all that in mind.
Yes, because it's when you look at it, it's kind of just like Henry doing all of these tasks and weird things happening around him. But when you know what's going on, and then you realize that, oh, hold on, wait a minute. When you start trying to put logic to it, it kind of changes it kind of breaks you in a sense.
And it solidifies me knowing that Delilah is probably lying, and it makes me feel uncomfortable talking to her because I feel like she's double agent here talking to probably Ned, and this is all occurring. So
Celeste, what did you think of this section?
So I'm going to pull a Shane and take a little. We're going to go back a little bit. No, because I love this. That's the whole point of Talk the Walk.
Yes.
So Delilah indicates at some point that, oh, I've been doing this for 10 years. I have my food delivered to me, because there's a part where Henry has to go and get supplies, and he's like, well, what about your supplies? And she says, oh, they're hand delivered to me. So I'm wondering if she's kind of pulling that seniority rope a little bit for tenure. Just that's just made me think. But those are great observations, Shane. Thank you for that. It's making me think differently. So that research camp, I was very scared the first time I played that. I thought somebody's going to find me, so I'm going to have to fight somebody again. And I'm so sorry, Ed. Can you repeat what I'm supposed to be talking about? Because I got all lost in the conspiracy.
That's fine. You're on the right track. And just what you think of that section of
the Julia. Yeah. Oh, I think it's very believable, because he's probably wrestling with some guilt, because first of all, he's not with his wife. He doesn't know how to handle those things. He probably feels some kind of attraction to Delilah. Delilah is also very likable. I'm not saying she's seducing him, but she's very charismatic. She's fun. I mean, I'd probably fall in love with Delilah. She's very fun. It's his subconscious he's feeling bad. He's feeling guilty. And this is a discussion I'd like to have after we talk about the game. Like, what would you do in this situation?
It's kind of with Henry and Delilah, because Delilah kind of asks, she asks Henry, "Why are you working here? Why would someone who's from the city do all of this?" And you're given the option of, I want to, or my wife is going through something, is sick, or not just say anything, or has some other option. And it's kind of like, well, that should have been like in the beginning of the game of, why are you working here? Because you as the player is kind of asking that too. Just like, why would someone who drinks a lot, who has a wife that is in Australia with his parents, just up and go and take a job being, a watcher or something, watching fires and everything. Uh, so it's just interesting. And then it gets to where Delia is talking about, you know, are you seeing somebody, or your relationship status, and you could respond and say, "Hey, I am married. I have a wife," and go about that. Or you could be flirtatious with her and just like, yeah, you sounding good over there. I wondered what you got going on that I don't know about. Something about you is kind of interesting, knowing good and well that you're still married, in a sense. So, there is a lot of traveling around in the game, but the next day, Henry uses the tracking device to find a backpack with the key to the locked cave. Delilah reports a figure in Henry's tower. When Henry arrives, he finds a Walkman taped to the door with an incriminating recording of Henry and Delilah's discussion about destroying the government camp. The next day, someone impersonating Henry calls another lookout and claims that Delilah knows the cause of the station fire, putting her and Henry more on edge. So the plot thickens. And I was just like, who has the technology to do all of this? How are people moving around in this forest this quick to do all of these things? And so now it's getting to more of a thriller and suspense section of the game.
Yep.
If Delilah if Delilah has to be seeing what's going on, she has to be using some kind of binoculars to see what is happening. And you kind of wonder throughout the game, why does Delilah never leave her watchtower to go help Henry?
Yeah, it's at this point in the game, which, as you could tell, I'm a little slow and gullible, is where I started getting paranoid about everyone I was dealing with, which was just Delilah, really. Where I was like, uh-oh, it's that unreliable narrator kind of scenario. But and I really love that you pointed that out, Ed, how it became a thriller. But what I appreciated about Firewatch is you can experience the feels of a thriller without, I don't know, blood, gore, high octane cars flying off a building type, I don't know, situation. I don't know, but just you're in a serene place, and then just something's like coming after you, and it makes you think like, what the heck did I do? By now, it's like, definitely not the girls. They're not that, no offense, sophisticated enough to, pull off all these things. At least I would not think so. And I'm like, what is this individual's goal here? Like, what? Like, why would they want to do this to us? And that's, again, where my mind started cycling, and that's where I started to not trust Delilah myself.
I was still trusting Delilah. In my first playthrough, I was still, because I'm just like, you are my supervisor, so I trust you to know what's really going on. So, I'm just following stuff at your command and reacting to the best of my knowledge of what I would do as the player, compared to what Henry would actually do as the character.
Yeah.
And because when he said he finds a Walkman taped to the door with an incriminating recording of Henry and Delilah's discussion. Who is recording this?
Right.
I don't have a Walkman. I'm like, what? Because the thing about it is just like you have to have some kind of electricity, but then you'll find out, how that gets, revealed and stuff. We'll get to that a little bit later. But Shane, what did you think about this part? Like, what's this crazy? like what's going on?
I think my first playthrough, I was pretty much, I like I said, I delved deeper the second time through. So I just thought, okay, someone's recording the conversations for sure. Doesn't matter if I have a new walkie that was given to me, even though it was an ancient walkie. But I did feel uneasy. I didn't know, is it the scientist? Is it this mysterious person who is trying to, I don't know, try to come between me and Delilah? Maybe Ned likes Delilah. I don't know. Because we do know the history that Delilah seems to flirt with all the Watchtower people. So I'm just trying to put things together the second time through. The first time I just didn't connect the dots there. I just thought it was very creepy. I'm out in the wilderness. No one should be here. Why is someone listening to my walkie-talkie conversation? So.
All right. What about you, Celeste?
So the tracking device is something you find in the scientist camp area, and that just in case we didn't mention that, and it replaces your compass. It's really cool. You just follow the beeps as they get louder and more frequent. You go in that direction. I didn't find this, but apparently it can lead you to an elk with a tracker around its neck. I didn't find it. Did y'all find that?
I did not.
I did not. No.
I did not see it, but I did watch the cutscene.
Is it a big deal?
No, it's just not. I think it's just a cool little nod. Trying to see wildlife out there and help wildlife. So, kind of like the later on with the raccoon, but the raccoon you can discover either early or late in the game. So.
Oh yeah, I didn't. We'll talk about some Easter eggs later because there are so many. Yeah, Gosh, I was getting nervous because I thought, oh, Henry and Delilah are screwed. Someone is on to them. Someone is going to throw all of this on them. And I'd like to know what someone used to set a fire, because there's a lot of sophisticated telecommunication devices at that scientific observation camp. Really expensive equipment, really nice, I guess at the time, really up-to-date technology. I was worried. I didn't suspect Delilah of anything at that point.
Yeah, because if Delilah saw that someone was in Henry's tower, I think of course she would say something. But I kind of would think that, so the way that the tower looks, it looks like you're still able to see the person inside and out going down the stairs. So Delilah should have been able to be like, recognize something with the face, because I don't think it doesn't sound like Henry had not Henry, the mysterious person had a kind of mask or hat or anything. The visibility should have been there.
Yeah, I also find it weird that if Firewatch wants to burn down the camp, if you're trying to prevent fires, why you want to burn down the camp? So that seems suspicious to me. Like, why would my supervisor, who is supposed to protect this national park, recommending that I burn it down? And if I do that, then it looks bad on me, because then I'll be the person that started a fire in the forest for a job I was hired to not prevent, to prevent this. So
right. And I'm just like, I kind of wonder the food situation. We know there is a bathroom in the game, right by your tower. And in reality, I think that's the only bathroom that's in the game.
Just the one,
like
I think, by Delilah too.
There are like some outhouses.
Yep.
So, I'm gonna ask you guys before we get on continue to go on. So that you did mention that you had to go to a certain box to go get your own food, like your own supplies. But were you tempted to take the other supplies too?
No, that's mean. Other people have to eat.
What
But
other people?
right,
I don't
that
know.
was a
Apparently,
question.
there are other lookouts, so I just left their food.
But I'm hungry now.
Okay, did you guys eat that really old granola bar? I did not.
No.
I think I
I don't.
did.
Oh,
Was it for Snack Tendo?
Yes.
Whoa, that's dedication right there. That's yeah, he's like, oh, at one of the cash boxes, he's like, oh, I found this granola bar, and she said that's probably about 5 years old or something. But I don't know. Did y'all take the extra food?
I don't think I did.
No.
Well, now I feel ashamed. I did. It's like every
You
man
admit
for
it.
himself out here.
Yes. So, it seems that Henry uses the found key to enter the cave, but is suddenly like the side an unseen figure deep in the cave. Now, this is the spoiler warning, everybody. So, we're going to reveal kind of while everything is going on. So you guys ready?
Mhm.
Well, there are like two aspects to the cave. There's like cave part 1, cave part 2, kind of. So, oh.
Yes. So let's get into this part. So deep in the cave, Henry discovers Brian's body and broken climbing gear before escaping the cave. Delilah is upset by the news. The next day, a evacuation order is given for all the lookouts as the wildfire that Henry has spotted and named earlier has grown out of control. So we kind of find um Brian's body laying dead on the floor. And I don't know how long it was that he was there, but
Yeah,
3 years.
about 3 years. Shout out to Celeste. She left us some good notes. That the 12-year-old son of Ned, who lived illegally with his father at Two Forks, he was found on fantasy novels and gang. He was fond of fantasy novels and games like Wizard and Warriors. His father wanted him to gain interest in outdoor activities like rock climbing and hiking. During a rock wall climb in cave 452, Brian did not secure his piton properly, and his rope snapped, causing him to fall to his death. Henry discovers Brian's body. So you kind of see his dead body, the climbing gear, and then you go through that part and you get to a little bit further up and you see this area that I believe Brian designed. Like it's like a little playroom that he designed. So this is kind of the death part in the game that we see.
And speaking of music, that Celeste mentioned earlier, like the crescendo of sound when you see that body. Ooh, I was shook. I was so shook.
And Henry slows down no matter what. You cannot make him run at this part. The game makes him slowly walk.
I think it's to let the player take it in on what you discover, because it plays a part into why things were happening. But like I said, you don't really have a connection to Brian, but you just see the inhumane thing of him. Like, this boy died, and because of his death, why didn't nobody go and take that body?
So I have some thoughts on this. So I find it weird that Ned, who supposedly didn't murder his son, it was an accident, locked Henry in this cave that he might not be able to get out of unless Ned or somebody else lights him out. So he has to dig through the rocks to get to the next point where where his son's body is. So that's kind of weird right there. And then I feel like since he was a military man, that he felt like he lost someone under his watch. and kind of in his own state became secluded and distant and maybe depressed. And so another whole mental thing with whatever everyone else is going on with as well in the game. And then I don't think Delilah knew that Brian was dead. I think somewhere in the game it says that she thinks that Brian went back to California for high school or whatever it was. So right there, I think Delilah's shocked. And if Delilah knows that Ned is in the park, she's going to feel a little wary of telling everyone that she knows that Ned is there, and she doesn't want to get, in legal trouble with that. So I don't know. Just thinking the second time through, I didn't think a lot about this stuff, and just doing a little research and playing it again, I feel like there's a lot to think about with everyone on this matter. So, and I feel like the dad wanted his son to be like him, but was different. And, that's a lot like today. You have someone in the family that's different. You try to get them to do things that you like or be like you, and it doesn't always happen that way. So
that's a relatable part. And again, as I get older, I'm careful of kind of criticizing how other people handle things, but I still couldn't help but think like, dude, you're such a coward. Your son fell to his death. And I don't know. This is where my brain goes sometimes. I'm sorry. Like, what if that kid, he likely didn't have an instant death unless he landed straight on his head. He probably was terrified in his last moments of life. Like, and as a parent, so I'm a parent, I'm like traumatized by that. And I don't know. I mean, even if I don't know what fear you would have of not I don't know, but I struggled with that.
It's so weird with just this section, because this could have been DLC part of what remains of Edith Finch. The way that it is set up and it's designed, like if you had to go through all of that and you found out what was going on and everything, you kind of be like, okay, this fits more to this game than Firewatch, because I'm expecting, just think about it. Henry gets locked in, and now, bam, there's a fire that's happening, and now you got to try to get out from that fire, not revealing that somebody's kid died, in a sense. Celeste, thoughts?
I love the implicit storytelling of, you find Brian's little hideout that he made where he would draw. He had a postcard. Oh God, did y'all read the postcard?
Yes, but I don't remember what was on there.
It was something about to a forest ranger. If you find my backpack, I don't know how you pronounce it, pittons, the things that you put into a rock, a clasp of some kind. I've never gone rock climbing, but Brian just sounds like the sweetest little kid, and he is telling him, please, if you find these, please mail them back to my address somewhere in Nebraska. But you also find out that he was living with his grandmother, and then I think she passes away, so that's why Ned has to take care of Brian or something.
Yes, I think
something like that.
I think Ned also mentions that Brian takes a liking to Delilah.
Yes,
and that almost thinks, for me, it makes me feel that it was almost like a stepmom type situation where maybe Ned and Delilah were involved, and then Ned pulled away because of this reason, but never told Delilah.
That's a great point. That is a great point. Brian is just like, I love, you see his toys, you see his drawings. You see this little, it's supposed to be like a Game Boy. It's a little electronic gaming device. Very telling of the time period, because it was 1986 when he passed away. But you're right, Stephanie. I didn't think about that, how it probably wasn't an instant death. And personally, if that would happen to me, I'd hope that it would be instant and I wouldn't be lingering and in pain. but the way you don't, his body is decaying, but you don't see the face. It's buried beneath some rocks. So I couldn't have handled it if they had shown his
Yeah.
face.
Yeah.
Gosh, I actually had trouble sleeping the first time I played that game. I was disturbed. I don't like bodies. I have trouble at funerals. I'll go to them, but I'm very uncomfortable, even though I know the body's not going to reanimate. It's like the uncanny valley where it resembles the person, but it's not really the person. And I get a little the heebie-jeebies.
I like the question that you posted in our notes, Celeste. Do you think Ned intentionally killed Brian? I don't think so. But I think Ned was devastated, that his son fell and died, because his dad's hope was that I want my son to get into this. I want him to become a man and do all of this wilderness things. I don't think that he intentionally did it, because I kind of felt like if he intentionally did it, Ned would have messed with Brian's equipment. And, if he was going to do something like that. But Ned was just like, hey, Brian, I want you to come climb with me. I kind of want you to do this father and son bonding by us doing these things together.
Yeah, I don't think it was intentional either. If anything, I definitely think that there was some sort of other kind of issue, like maybe neglect, like indirect neglect. It's just not really the healthiest of relationships, which I can at least rationalize why Ned reacted in that way once his son died and just went to full panic mode. Maybe due to his past traumas as well. Not that I'm giving him a pass for it, because he's still a coward, but what are you gonna say, Shane? You have words.
I don't know. Like, I feel like he either Brian was trying to prove to his dad that he could do something like this, and maybe his dad was like, you got to learn this stuff to be a man, that those games and those things that you're doing are silly. You need to learn something life changing. You got to go out there and prove yourself. And maybe then in turn Brian wasn't prepared for this climb, went out for the climb, and then that's when things went wrong, because he wasn't prepared. He was probably, well, I'm going to prove this to my dad that I can do this, and tragically it didn't turn out that way.
So, did you guys think that this whole situation would have been a little bit more meaningful if they allowed you to play as Brian before your death?
I don't know.
I like the way they tell it, quite honestly, because it leaves it. I like things being left to my imagination a little bit. Also, I don't know if y'all felt this way, but when Henry first falls at the beginning of the game, I think that's foreshadowing.
That's brilliant, Celeste.
Oh, I'm not brilliant. I appreciate it.
They wouldn't put that there for no reason unless they're like, ha, big man fall down, but I doubt it was that reason.
Right.
I think it's kind of a warning of you're at the mercy of nature. You don't have.
Yeah, things can happen and you can't control it sometimes.
Nature's beautiful, but it's also terrifying. I love Mother Nature, but I'm also scared of her and I don't want to upset her.
And it just takes one misstep or one something.
Yeah. So I viewed that as foreshadowing the second time I played it, like, because I knew what happened. But then I also so when I was in college, one of my friends, I befriended a non-traditional student who would have been like about Brian's age at the time this game was taking place. And he was telling me, because he's very nerdy, love him. Love you, Jeffrey, if you're listening. He said at that time, you weren't accepted as a nerd. Like you probably would have gotten beaten up, like really physically, verbally abused by other kids. So I kind of wonder what kind of lifestyle Brian had at that time. Like today, most people have no problem saying, yeah, I like video games. Yeah, I like Dungeons and Dragons or whatever. People celebrate it. But back then it was much harder. So I wonder what Brian's life was like at school, and also having your father not approve of you and Okay, this just while y'all were talking, I'd love to know. What do you think the last interaction with Brian was like with Ned? Do you think he was fussing him like, "Come on, boy, you can do this"? Like, do you think he was being a jerk, or do you think it was a good interaction? Like,
I
okay,
think he
you
was.
got this.
I think he was fussing at him because you got
Mhm.
to think he was a Vietnam War
Mhm.
fighter.
Yeah.
So when that army mentality is
Yep.
in you and it's stuck with you, you're just you. I feel like Ned had that mentality against Brian that I want to make you strong to be almost like your father because the army made me strong. The war did something to me to make me strong. So, in
Mhm.
order for that to happen, I'm going to pass this down onto you, my child. All that other stuff that you're doing is silly games. You shouldn't be doing it. You got to get strong, but
Yep.
you got to get strong in a different way. So, this is
Yeah.
why we got to do this right
Get,
climb.
get your head out of the clouds and your feet on the ground.
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah, again, it's probably both ways. He wants to please his father, but his father is probably strict. He's probably wants to be respected by his son and wants his son to listen. And I think that had a hand in how this all played out. So
And it's so God of War on PS4, and I'm bringing this game up is because our Atreus at one point is trying to prove to Kratos that he is strong. And Kratos just like you got to, you're not supposed to run into doing stuff or you're gonna get yourself killed. But Kratos want Atreus to be strong in the beginning of the game. And that happens with narrative when it's set up that way. When one character wants someone else to be strong, that second character is trying to prove themselves to be strong, but then get punished for trying to do something.
yeah, I think that you don't see the compassion, but they really love their son or daughter. But it doesn't play off like that because they just have a different mentality on how you should show your emotion or feeling to that person, and you want to protect them, but they probably don't understand that you want to protect them. So
I think about the time period back then, what men were like. No, that sounds horrible, like a generality, but
No, that
just
Celeste, don't forget, I was 9 years old in 1989. So,
I was born.
so seeing how men were, because definitely during that time, you as a kid, you had to do manly stuff. You weren't able to go out and play double dutch or try out for cheerleading or be in fantasy stuff or be the sci-fi geek and stuff. Like you wasn't even if you tried to even be a nerd growing up in that time, you were bullied and made fun of and everything because there there was another version, or I should say, not version. There was a stereotype of masculinity that males should have, and if you're while growing up, when a man is teaching you stuff, they're teaching you to be masculine. And they want you to be masculine. They don't anything else is a distraction or it's going to ruin it because for some men, they fear that it's going to destroy them and it's going to mentally and physically make them less unattractive to women and stuff like that. So to put all of this on a kid who doesn't know anything about masculinity or anything like that, it's a sense of my dad or this person is ruining me of my childhood. They're trying to make me grow up faster to be a carbon copy of them back in 89. So, and as time has gone now, while we look at it in the 2000s, like all of that changed. Like even looking at it now, it's a big masculinity has different forms and different opinions about what it is now compared to what it was back in 1989. Trust me, the stuff that people as males will be doing today wouldn't even be allowed to be done in 1989.
yes.
Mhm.
Mhm.
So, in fact, Shane, Stephanie, where were you at in 1989?
Well, I was born in 1985, so 4,
Oh,
5, depending on the month.
I was 1.
So
oh wow.
I was a youngin'.
Oh, I'm so old.
I was entering the world.
I was still playing Nintendo, getting ready for the Sega
I-
Genesis. Ooh, good googly moogly.
I was
Yikes.
getting ready to
Said
play
it.
Zelda. So
Oh.
1989, late at 1989 when I was 5, I think. That's when I
Well,
played
that's
Zelda 2 for the first time.
oh goodness. I remember going to the furniture store and getting Zelda 2. And
Ah,
That's awesome.
well,
Gosh.
it's funny because I have a son, right? And I'm very middle of the road with all the kind of gender identity and stuff like that there's a lot of discussion about now. But the way I take my approach to parenting, which is different than any other person's approach, is just I don't really impose any gender stereotypes on him. Like, he's a biological male, and whatever he chooses to play with trucks when he was a kid. Fine, whatever. I don't care. I offer to paint his toenails. He doesn't like it. But the point is he's a very artistic child. He loves drawing. That's like his number one favorite thing to do. He loves to draw. He doesn't play D&D. He's too young, but he like watches me when I play. He loves Zelda. He was Link 2 years in a row for Halloween. I think this year he wants to be Ash from Pokemon. Like,
Nice.
if I transplanted him to maybe when I was born, he would, definitely got the crap kicked out of him. Like, it's just different.
It's sad. It's
Yep.
I mean, the world is not perfect yet, but I think we're moving in a better direction at least. Yeah, gosh, poor Brian. I feel like we could talk about him all day.
Yeah.
I want like as a memorial. And I'm not like a super religious person at all or anything, but that's so disrespectful to his body. Like,
Yes, that's something.
Yeah.
Just leaving it rot there.
Yeah.
ugh.
You know, if as the dad, I would have at least, made a grave, something.
Thank you,
put-
Shane.
How
Thank
hard is
you.
it to tie 2 sticks together to make it look like a cross and put it right there? I don't get it. If you're trying to hide the fact that you're a terrible dad for doing that, at least do the bare minimum and respect your son.
And it's not even like, it doesn't have to
Do-
be a religious thing too. Like in the
Yeah.
army, like you're really supposed to be trained to take care of your brothers when they fell.
Yep.
yeah.
Right.
And that was like you were a Vietnam War vet. How did you not do this?
And how did no one discover this for 3 years? Did people not go into that cave? I get it was locked, but you can't tell me the powers that be did not have
Never
access.
checked in on it. Yeah, I don't.
Henry was just in the right setting and time to mess up his peaceful habitat, or not peaceful habitat. I don't know.
It makes me so mad.
Yeah.
It makes me so mad.
Well, right, we're going to get into the last portion of it. As Henry prepares to leave, the tracking device begins beeping. He follows the signal and discovers a tape from Ned. Ned claims that Brian's death was accidental and that the boy fell due to climate inexperience. Unwilling to return to society after Brian's death, Ned secretly lived in the area ever since. Choosing to venture deeper into the wilderness, Ned warns Henry not to look for him. Henry finds Ned's makeshift bunker, along with items stolen from the government camp, the lookout towers, and the teenage girls, who Delilah confirms have been found safe. The government camp was simply studying wildlife. Ned had been using his radio equipment to ensure that no one was looking for him and to create transcripts to scare Henry away. Despite Ned's confession, Delilah blames him for Brian's death and leaves on the rescue helicopter. Henry goes for her tower, and he and Delilah say their goodbyes via radio before Henry evacuates. So Ned was doing all of these things to the girls and to Henry, to scare him off so that he wouldn't be able to find Henry wouldn't be able to find Ned, because Ned kind of seems that Ned was very paranoid about all of this stuff. So he was doing everything that he can to scare him. So with all of that being revealed, and I think the girls, I think they left camp and they were walking somewhere to like a bus stop or something. Because they weren't kidnapped or anything.
They
No.
hijacked a farmer's tractor.
Yeah, that's what it was.
And they were
Okay.
in the jail for a little bit. Little rebellious girls. What's the word? Can't think of a word for them. How would you describe them?
Ruffians. I don't know.
Ruffians.
Ragamuffins.
Yes, ragamuffins.
So, that's kind of how the rest of the game goes. What did you guys think about this? On how they wrap this game up? Celeste, I'm gonna start with you.
Oh Lord, oh God, get ready. So you can actually not go on the helicopter if you wait too long. It can
Yep.
leave without you, which I'm like, what the heck? You are standing right there. Why would you just leave this person right here? Whatever. Okay. I like that you don't get to see Delilah again. I like things being left to the imagination. You can explore her camp, and at one point when she's asking you to describe yourself, you can look at the drawing and see how she drew you based on your descriptions of yourself. Gosh, I kind of hope that I'm assuming Julia's going to pass away young.
Mhm.
I think it'd be kind of neat if Henry and Delilah would meet later on in life and just, maybe not necessarily get married, but just hang out, just have that finality. But I like for the game, I like how it's tied up. I do like Ned's bunker. That is intense. I want him on my side at the end of the world, please, for an apocalypse. He knows what he's doing. You get to
Yes.
So I think he does care about Brian, because you see these little trinkets from Brian in Ned's bunker, like a Father's Day card. You see a picture of Brian. I think he just didn't know. He wasn't emotionally intelligent enough to deal with everything.
I think I kind of like how everything wrapped up, and I agree with you. I really hope that Delilah and Henry get together, like become a couple, and Julia dies.
Just laughing because you're like, I hope Julia dies.
Right? Because I kind of feel like Henry didn't give us anything about Julia, and it feels like he's been running away from the situation and doing his best to forget Julia, because now he feels like Julia forgot about him in a sense. And yes, you do get that one brief moment of envisioning her voice, but there should have been times that, in this situation, Julia should have been speaking as Henry's subconscious, and we didn't get any of that. So I kind of feel like, since Delilah was his only kind of person to talk to and relate to and speak about things, it only felt fitting when it comes to our loving relationship kind of thing for the story. I'm saying that he go be with Delilah, because it looks like they're on the same level, and it might be like, this is what I kind of used to have with Julia, and I wish it was the same thing with her, but I feel like all of that faded away with Julia. And I'm feeling that energy, that vibe that I once had with Delilah again. I'm feeling youthful in a sense with Delilah. Shay.
Well, I feel like Ned is trying to, first show that he did care about his son. He was ashamed of what transpired. But also, I think he was trying to have entertainment value with messing with Delilah and Henry. Because I think somewhere in there he said he's tired. He's read all the books that he can read, and he's getting kind of antsy, wants to do other things. And then Delilah leaving before you get there, I feel like she wants to avoid that conversation of, so you did know that Ned was here, but you didn't tell me, and now that Brian has been revealed that he had died, it really makes for a awkward situation. And then Celeste said that the other ending is you do not have to get on the helicopter. A thought I had was, is Henry doing the same thing as Ned? Is he going to stay in the forest and hide out and do the same thing Ned did? I don't know that, but he does walk back to his truck in the other version, but if he doesn't get on the helicopter, what happens then? So it almost, to me, is like Ocarina of Time with the split timeline. Does this happen or does this happen? We need a book for this now, and we need to know, the meat behind it. What is going on?
You better write it. Write it.
Exactly.
Or Stephanie. Her novels were inspired by Ocarina of Time.
One and done.
And I do have more to say, but I'll wait till everyone responds because I want to kind of talk about the Julie situation.
Okay, it's Stephanie. What are your thoughts on this situation?
So quickly on the bunker, I mean, it was pretty cool, but just something I would expect from a character of that type. Just not that anyone that would just come from a war be paranoid and have a bunker, because there's lots of people who are paranoid and have a bunker. But I'm just saying, like, it makes sense. I took a lot of pictures there. Even though he had some trinkets of his son, I just still don't feel bad for him. I feel like this poor guy, this guy has been reduced to being, like, I don't know, just a shell of himself. And I'm like, so you're just gonna live the rest of your life just hanging out here and spooking people off? Like, what have you become? Trying to run away from the forest, like, even though I know, like, no matter how slow I walk or something, I'm not gonna die in this game, but I did feel a bit panicked. Looking back on it now, I'm glad that I didn't get to meet Delilah in person, but in the moment, I was very frustrated because
I had the same thought the first time through. Like, I felt something was missing because I didn't understand what was transpiring because I enjoyed the playthrough without really thinking about it. So.
Exactly. And, like, part of me is like, goodness, it obviously Delilah is real, but it almost makes me feel like now I'm doubting myself. Is she not a real person? Like, because I never get to see her. There's no proof that she's there. So I think those were just some key points that stuck out to me during the ending. And I did get on the helicopter, and I did see the drawing of myself. I'm like, oh, I guess I'm not that handsome.
Aw.
Sorry about
Didn't
that,
look like
everybody.
Stephanie at all.
Gosh. I need to know what Shane wants to say. I have so many thoughts as well.
Okay,
Well,
so
so Shane,
Ed. What's up? Oh, I thought you had something to say, Ed. So, basically, I just feel like the parallels between the fire and dementia have a lot going on there. So I feel like Henry becoming a Firewatch, being isolated, feels like the situation as you are slowly losing the ability to remember things, that isolation is setting in. There's nobody to talk to. There's, it's just like you can't interact with people and remember those interactions. The second thing is like a flare up, a fire flares up. It's like a flare up for dementia. It happens. You have to be careful with it, and it just can encompass you. And then the paranormal horror type atmosphere, which this sets up, I feel like simulates a person suffering with dementia, because it probably is scary. You don't know yourself what's going on, and you probably won't remember as time goes on who people are and how they affect your life and who they are in your life. So, and then I feel like even like smoke from a fire, it kind of clouds judgment. You have the ability to like not focus as well. You're suffocating. Your memories are going, and that's the product of the fire that rages in your mind. So I just feel like there's so many parallels with fire and dementia that could be underlying this whole game.
That's beautiful, Shane.
Wow.
That is beautiful. I love that so
Thank you.
much.
That's a really good analysis.
That
And,
really is.
yeah, this game, you know, at first glance, when someone sees a game like Firewatch, it's like, oh, it looks like a boring game where you just look for fires. I think we kind of cycled back to that.
Yeah.
But no matter how many playthroughs, and now I'm really grateful I'm having this discussion with you. It's it's in Shrek, like it's like an onion. It has many, many layers.
Oh,
Yeah.
yes. Yes.
So-
And everyone, Eddie got kicked off, by the way.
Yeah, so we're gonna keep going. But if I could just say one thing, I don't know if he'll get to it. I hope it's okay if I say it now. I think the
Absolutely.
only thing that kind of bothered me, and it's just like a me thing, and I don't know, was like because you don't when you play in first person view, so you only like see your hands and stuff.
Mhm.
Yeah.
His hands are so blocky. I don't know, like everything about this game was gorgeous, but like his character, like hands just bothered me so much.
If you play the tour, there are little sections. It'll kind of freak you out at first. When you play the tour, they'll actually have sections where they've set up mannequins and models of Henry.
Oh,
Mhm.
It's really cool. You've done the tour, Shane?
I didn't do it all the way through. I started it and then I wanted to go back to just the main game to play a second time through for this talk, so I didn't get
Mhm.
any real insight. But I did start at the beginning and then kind of stopped at like chapter 2-ish. So
Mhm. Mhm.
well, I will play it with that mode on next time. And I just realized now, and that's my own fault, is that the PlayStation 5 can't load like when you buy games, like a special collector's editions of games, you can get like their background or something like that.
Yep.
Mhm.
Firewatch is a really nice like
It
background
is.
aesthetic. And I got it for that, and then I found out that PlayStation 5 doesn't support it.
Yeah,
Like,
it's
ah.
weird. They just take the game and when you play it, they have like a art piece behind it when you load it up, but there's no like customization like you would on 3 or 4. So
Yeah, I loved it because I had Oxenfree up for my PS4, and I was looking forward to having the Firewatch version. And I don't. Maybe they'll fix that. someday.
yeah, I
No,
hope it's part of the fin update. So
God. So everyone, I don't know if Eddie's going to jump back on, so I will assume his role.
all right.
Just listeners, I'm so sorry. Yeah, that's what happens. Again, we're going to have to just get a nice big studio somewhere where we can all congregate and record these
That would be nice.
episodes. I know. So, just some things I want to talk about. I did not, my first playthrough and my second playthrough, I could not find the turtle. Did y'all find the turtle?
I didn't.
I did.
Where
And-
was he?
On a rock, I think, on the way to the lake, if I remember right. And I chose Shelley Duvall as the name.
Aw,
We can name him that or Turt Reynolds.
Turt Reynolds, yeah.
Turt Reynolds. I love that.
Uh-huh. The developers have a cute little cassette recording about the turtle. It's fun. I love listening to their banter. So I didn't do this, but I did watch a video where someone yeets the turtle over the cliff.
Shelley can fly.
Oh my gosh, that's awful.
It's
Of
awful.
course, someone would do that. Of
Yeah.
course.
Of course. So there are also some really cool. This is just coming to me right now. Like, there are spots in the game you're not really pointed to, but you can explore. There's a medicine wheel
hmm
you can go to. Welcome back, Ed.
I'm sorry, everybody. Skype literally crashed and kicked me out.
I've
That's
been
okay.
there.
We were talking about what we would do if we
You-
had to be a Firewatch with you. No, I'm just kidding.
You were gone, Ed?
Aw. So Ed, did you find the turtle?
Yes, I did. I
Okay,
did
what
find the
did you-
turtle.
What did you name it?
I actually named the turtle Corey.
Aw,
You named the turtle Corey? You can name it
Wow.
Corey?
that's awesome.
Now I feel bad. I should name it my best friend.
And then yeet it off a cliff.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
Whenever you get mad, take that.
Take that. I love that.
See, this is the thing. I am very bad with this kind of stuff in video games. I don't know if it's
Me too.
because of my limited time playing, I tend to rush, but I miss all these small, awesome things that if I did find them, I would love it. I never do.
They're hard. And apparently the turtle can be found in multiple locations. I looked at a guide to try to help me. Still couldn't find it. I
That
didn't
I
find
didn't
the
know.
elk either. So this is something else. So I love these little little touches, little details in a game. You can towards I don't know what day it is, but there's a moment where Henry has taken his wedding ring off, which
Mhm.
is again implicit storytelling. You can decide to put it back on, or you can just leave it off. And he does that regardless of whether or not you're flirting with Delilah, which let's have a big discussion here, everybody. We're going to have a big discussion. What do you think you would do in Henry's situation? And I know it's very difficult unless you are in that situation. It's hard to say right here, right now, this is what I would do.
So I let him keep it. I let him keep it on because and when you look at the reality of what Henry would do, is that this is the last thing I have left of my wife. If I take this ring off, I have nothing from her. I have some memories, but memories could only last so long because I'm like, what if something happens to me and I lose my memory? Then I have nothing of her.
It's poignant. Stephanie?
Please don't judge me.
No. I mean, this game brings out so many important conversations.
Well,
We're all
I'm
human.
not a cheater. Like, I'm not in real life. I'm not all about like, hey, zip code rule. Like, but like, I think my approach was, I don't know why I assume this. I'm like, I am never gonna actually do the deed with Delilah. Like, it's never gonna go that far. And when I say I'm speaking as me playing as Henry. Like, I already left my wife in Australia. It's really difficult, like marrying the love of your life and then just the world crashing down on you. Maybe my mind space is not right. So I know it almost seems kind of like the opposite of like Ed's rationale, where like it's okay to just like put some space there. Like, just because I'm taking the ring off doesn't mean like I'm throwing it in the garbage and I declare myself not married. It's just like I'm giving myself some time to heal. And again, don't judge me, but I'm like, a little bit of flirting, just to kind of like, I don't know, just as long as it's innocent and you don't do anything, I think it's okay. I think Henry just kind of maybe needs it to kind of get his mind off things, as long as it never escalates that far. I'm sorry, I'm a bad person.
No, you're not a bad person. It's hard to judge people unless they're in that situation.
Well, that's why I kind of want to be kind to him on that. You know, like, there's a little bit of room of flexibility there. And you know what? If it's just a little innocent flirting, keyword innocent, you know, like, do what you got to do.
Have y'all ever read the book Mrs. Fletcher by Tom Perrotta?
Nope.
This reminds, it's not exactly the same, but there's a scene where towards the end of the novel, a woman is falling in love with a man, and his wife had passed away a while back, and he's confessing to her how guilty he felt. Well, this is an adult topic, so if your kids are listening, I'm really sorry. But while his wife was dying of cancer, he would look at pornography, and he felt guilty doing it. And there was a time in my life where I would have been like really harshly judging someone for doing that. But as I've gotten older, not that I've been in those situations, but I'm kind of like, maybe I should approach people with more sympathy and try to understand that life is not black and white, and you don't know what someone's going through, and everybody deals with things differently. And
exactly, ding ding ding, it's black and white. Like, there's one thing between, sorry, we're now talking about pornography, but I'm just an example. Like, that's another thing. Like, I grew up like, that's the worst thing you can do to someone. It's more like, you know what, if you watch it every day and it's affecting your intimate life with your significant other, that's an actual problem, like a psychological
any kind of addiction.
Versus like, if it, well, again, we're not getting the details, so it's, it's not black and white, it's gray.
Yes. And I hope I'm never in the situation where my partner is in like a coma or something, but this is going to sound horrible. The living still have to go on living. I don't mean that in a heartless way. I mean that in if I would go into a coma, I'd want my partner, like, please, I want you to be happy. We have such a limited amount of time on this earth. Like, I want you to enjoy yourself. I don't know. Stephanie, I feel like a horrible person now. Well, Shane, what do you think?
Well, me again projecting myself in Henry. I kept the ring on. death to us part type thing.
I did keep the ring on. Yeah.
You know, there's certain dialogue that I chose, and it's a game. Okay, so it's a game. So it just, I felt like how Eddie said, it's just like, I feel like it's something that reminds me that I still have a wife. She's not gone yet, and I'm not gonna put myself out there until something would transpire. And so I don't know. It's just me projecting myself again through Henry and how my personality is. So
Yeah. And I think that's the beauty of this game and just life in general. Everybody approaches things in a different way. And it's hard to say until you are in that situation. You really can't
Yeah.
say, this is exactly what I
Absolutely.
would do. I have a plan.
Yep.
God, this got really heavy.
That's a thing.
Well, so I know that she was going to do some parts of it. Ron and Dave and
Speaking
their
of
love.
romance.
Speaking of romance. After I read about it, because at a point in time I just stopped going to the little safe things and just stopped. I just like, forget this. I got to get through this game. I kind of was interested into their story, and when I read like what was going on and stuff, I kind of found that, oh, this is a video game all in itself that I would love to play for Talk to Walk. Like, I would love to see a person falling in or having feelings for someone else, and then they're not reciprocated back to them, and then something it was just, it's amazing about their love life. Like, I'm hinting that I have feelings for you, but I have to hold them back because now I find out that you love someone else and you ran off with them.
Yep. Which didn't work out anyway. So
right. And then I will pick up from there. What happens if Dave and Ron met again? Is that Firewatch 2?
Electric
Maybe.
Boogaloo.
And then I was gonna say Henry would be the one messing around with them.
Oh, I didn't think it was that funny, but I'm glad.
I love that laugh. So joyous.
Ed, I didn't think it was that funny.
That broke me for a second because I was just like, she was quick on that. She's a good one.
I'm sorry, Shane. What were you
Yeah,
saying?
I'm sorry, Shane.
Oh, I was just gonna say then Henry could play Ned's role in that whole thing. So maybe Henry's just like, I need to mess with somebody, so let's do what Ned did.
Like
and maybe Henry actually gives Brian a proper funeral and burial. I don't know.
I wonder. I don't know. Just so many questions. So, okay, who's ready to sign up to be a Firewatch?
I'm good.
I was in Boy Scouts for many years. I've done many things, and I don't think in this point in time of life that I want to do any of that again. The camping's fun, but you can do that on a weekend and then come back home.
I wasn't built or created for that, so no.
It just occurred to me. I was like, where does Henry shower? Does he just use the little cistern in the spout outside?
Yeah, that's what
he uses. That skinny dip, like, just goes down there and hops in.
So Stephanie will probably understand what I'm talking about. There are certain things we ladies deal with biologically that I would not want to be dealing with in the woods.
No.
Ugh.
Nope.
Ugh.
I'm good.
Just I like deodorant. I like makeup. I like the comforts of technology.
Dude, even just the act of showering is just something I need. And if it's just that one porta potty, and how often do these porta potties get cleaned? Or outhouses? Sorry, outhouse.
Yeah.
No.
Most likely clean them yourself.
I would just pick a random place and squat.
Oh, that's my girl, Stephanie. We're going camping together.
So
I'll block you.
I went to I was up in Canada with my grandpa when his grandchildren turned 12. He would bring them up to Canada. We'd fly out on a water plane and land in a cabin, and we'd stay there for a week with nothing besides the cabin and some fuel sources and stuff. And, it just like that week was amazing. Like the fish is good. You toss in your lure, a fish comes out. Doesn't matter if it's this big or this big. And then you make like little areas to put your fish and try to keep the bears away and the moose. And I just feel like a week was long enough. Maybe I could do 2 weeks, but if I was out there for 3 months, I don't think I would enjoy that. Maybe I don't know.
Now, if I was struggling with living arrangements and this was a opportunity to have a place to live at, and the only requirements is to do this job, maybe I'm packing my bags. I'm gone. Deuces. Yeah. I just need to know if I can have internet service so I can record my podcast and everything.
Absolutely not.
I was just gonna say, you got to bring your Switch, and then you got to have a solar powered, like I got a solar powered thing you could just lay on the grass and it can charge your phone or whatever. But that would be what I would do, I think. So.
Well, I hate to say it, but you know what else I'd be afraid of for taking that job is because there's really nothing to do. I'd probably find a way to entertain myself and actually not pay attention to my job.
Oh, I love it.
And the fire will burn the forest down. That would happen to me. Absolutely.
Yeah, I've never been tent camping. I've only been in campers, or RVs or whatever. So your girl is a weenie. I can't do it.
I took a wilderness survival merit badge in Boy Scouts, and I had to sleep out in the woods and make my own shelter. And it was not ideal. There's gnats. I had a big frog fall on my face while I was sleeping. I was the smart one because in Boy Scouts, be prepared. I brought a pillow and a blanket. My 2 other friends who came along, one brought a pillow, one brought a blanket. So all night we were rotating the blanket and the pillows because it was so cold. And so nobody slept. It really was not ideal. But tent camping is actually really nice compared to that. So.
Shane, you are hardcore. I want you on my side for the apocalypse, please.
Well, that's what I had to do to become an Eagle Scout. So there's lots of stuff that we did.
Oh, wow. Well, everybody, I guess anything else? I think we covered everything. Well, what did you guys say? Is this a recommendation or is this something to walk by? Is it, do we talk it or do we walk it? Stephanie, I'm gonna start with you. You gonna talk it or walk it?
Definitely talk it. I recommend it thoroughly. And I'll be honest with you, the very beginning part, how we talked about those chapters in those days, it did start a bit slow for my personal taste, but it picks up. And that's why I say, it depends if a person likes a fast-paced game or not, but the quality of the game, where it ends up leading to, makes it of highest quality, and everyone needs to at least try it once. And that's why I highly recommend it.
Okay. Celeste, you going to talk it or walk it?
100% talk it. It's a beautiful game, and it really it's not only graphically beautiful, but the story and just the layers, like we said, like the onion layers. It's so cool. It's not what you think it's going to be.
Yeah.
At all.
Yes. Okay. Shane, you talking it or walking it?
I'd like to talk the walkie, because this was definitely a good game. I recommend it to anyone. It's one of those indie games that kind of changed a lot for me in my life playing other games, and it's kind of one of my first walking sims. That's how I got interested in Life is Strange and a few other games along those lines. So definitely check it out, play it, enjoy it.
Okay, so at first, before we recorded this episode, when we played it a long time ago, I wanted to walk this game because of that stupid map. And that map and compass was confusing. It messed me up. I was getting lost. There's one section in the game that I made my TV in the game brighter, and I still got lost because it was so dark in the game. I'm just like, I don't know what's going on. But after getting over the map and stuff and taking the time with the narrative and the characters and just taking it in as it for a game, definitely talk it. For me, I believe it's a really great game. It does have some replay value, I will say. If you miss some things, it's something that you could go in and actually replay and try to find it. Even when you know everything from a main story like point of view, but like there's side stuff on there that you can learn about the game. So we all talk it, everybody. We all recommend this game. And for our next game, though, I'm going to let Celeste introduce this next game because she recommended it, and we were supposed to do it in October last year, but certain things happened and we weren't able to do it. So we're going to recommend this game, and then we're going to also recommend the next game. So Celeste, what is the next game for Talk the Walk?
Sagebrush. It is, if you are a fan of cults, not like being in them, but like the stories of them, like Jonestown, Heaven's Gate,
trailer parks.
I highly recommend it, but we're going to talk about that next.
Yes.
Nice.
And following that, we are going to be doing the Life is Strange series. Now, I must ask the panel, which one do we want to start with? Do we want to do the first one, or do we want to do True Colors?
I don't think I really have a right to vote, but the first one sounds cool.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
I think everybody, we need to go in order.
Okay.
Yeah, I believe so.
So we're gonna do just to give everybody a heads up, Sagebrush is the next game. We're gonna go into Life is Strange, and then Life is Strange 2, and then Life is Strange True Colors. That's going to be our next Talk the Walks that you guys will be able to play, write down, and get your notes and enjoy.
Are you going to do Before the Storm as well?
How long is it? Is it because I know that's DLC for the
prequel for Life is Strange, so it's just as long.
Yeah, about 5 hours, 6 hours, maybe.
That's definitely worth talking about too. So
we could do it. That's fine because I think the is that collection out yet?
Yeah, it should be out. I don't know if it's on Switch, but it definitely is on the other platforms.
Okay. Yeah, if the collection is out and they have it, yeah, we'll do that one. I think we'll probably do that along with the first game, just to get everything connected, and then do the second game by itself, and then do the third game. So everybody, Sagebrush, Life is Strange, and the prequel Beyond the Storm, Life is Strange 2, and Life is Strange 3 True Colors. As we head on out, or as we walk away from this discussion, Stephanie, where can we find you?
People can find me on the internets on Twitter and Instagram at Klimov, KLIMOV_author. My articles on bossrush.net and on various podcasts, including Wednesday nights with the Boss Rush podcast.
Yes. Shane, where can we find you?
You can find me on Twitter at StillSaneShane. You can find my articles on the Boss Rush Network, and you can find my articles at Another Zelda podcast.
Yes, and you guys can find also Stephanie at Another Zelda podcast.
Sorry
and
about
Celeste.
that.
Celeste, where can we find you?
You can find me on Twitter at FairyCrypt, FAERIECRYPT. I also have an Instagram, but if you want to follow me, you're going to have to send me a request. Please send me a message because I'm getting so many bots and crypto bros on Instagram.
Oh, no.
So mine's private, so you have to kind of indicate, hey, I listened to your podcast or whatever. And I'm also with Another Zelda podcast, and I also help with the 1v1 interviews with Boss Rush.
Yes. You can find me on Twitter at ThatVertigo, and on Instagram, and on our Discord at Boss Rush. You can also check out more Talk the Walk episodes on YouTube. Check out Nintendo Pod Block and Nintendo Expansion Pass on YouTube. If you guys want to help us at Boss Rush Network, we have a Patreon. You know, you do $1 will help you get the shows early, but a $5 will make you a Patreon producer for Boss Rush. Help us produce some good shows. Become one of our supporters. With that, everybody, have a great week, have a great weekend, and we will see you next time on Talk the Walk. Bye, everybody.
See ya.
Bye.